forward flight.
Well, that's one way to get the Viet Cong to run. Well, here we got the soldiers deploying. Yeah, you're right.
I carried on I didn't like the 16, they were having a lot of damage on it. It turned out to be the color.
Yeah, there it is. I see the little flashes coming off of it.
Now, as the Huey comes by, listen to
here we
the sound
go.
of that rotor. Very distinctive.
He's got a car 98.
The helicopter was used to great effect and help in the rescuing of downed aircraft. There was another airplane that was used as a very, very important part in marking targets for the fast-moving jets, and also for guiding protective fire from other aircraft. And that was the Cessna 02 Skymaster. If you'll look to the left, you'll see it coming back in with two engines, one in the front, one in the back, nicknamed the Push Me Pull You, flying at speeds of about 160 miles per hour. Low over the battlefield, the Oscar Deuce, as it was named, is the 02, based on the commercially built Cessna 337 Skymaster. Could be outfitted with 7 white phosphorus rockets under each wing. It would fly low and slow over the battlefield, picking out targets of opportunity or finding where the bad guys were, and then circling around and firing those white phosphorus rockets at the target area. Then they would call to the fast-moving jets, hit the smoke.
He's got a Mosina gun. That's a Russian.
The Skymaster also did psychological ops missions in Laos and Cambodia, parts of the war that were supposedly off limits to Americans, flying missions that, as they say, didn't exist. Now, directly in front of us and high, an airplane that might look familiar to you. It first flew in 1935. It was built by the Douglas Aircraft Company, and its civilian livery changed the way Americans travel and made air travel viable. But then came World War II, and many of the aircraft that were destined for the airlines became cargo planes for World War II, and it's coming through right now. The C-47, the Goonie Bird, as it was nicknamed. Dwight D. Eisenhower called it one of the 4 most important weapons of the war, along with the bazooka and the Jeep, and one other weapon that name escapes me at the moment. But in its original configuration, it was not an armed airplane. It carried troops, paratroopers on D-Day over Normandy, France on June 6th of 1944. It towed gliders. Here comes the Oscar Deuce. Bob Schaefer is flying the 02 today. Coming in from the right, the Fairchild C-123 Provider. The Provider was actually based on a metal glider design. But it had two 2,500 horsepower Pratt & Whitney double wasp piston engines. Just outboard of those engines are 2 smaller pods. Those were General electric J-85 turbojet engines, each of which generated an additional 2,850 pounds of thrust, enabling the C-123 to get off the ground in remarkably short distances. The high wing design all worked in its favor, making it able, through its cargo door in the rear, to load and offload men and material very, very quickly. Providers served around the world, but the shining moment of their career was during the Vietnam War. Now, coming overhead, in the right turn, this aircraft also served in Korea, the second war of its career. But then, in 1964, this airplane became an armed battle station with machine guns mounted in the left-hand side of the fuselage. It became known as the AC-47 Spooky.
We were in that thing earlier.
It had miniguns on the left-hand side of the fuselage, enabling the pilot with a special sight off to his left to circle around a target, doing turns about a point and concentrating the fire from those miniguns specific target. Experiments with the gunship concept began in the United States in the early 1960s, bringing accurate, concentrated fire on an enemy position from the air. Some Air Force generals were skeptical at first, concerned that an aircraft in such a position would be vulnerable to enemy fire. However, as soon as the first armed C-47s began to fly combat missions in Vietnam in 1964, proved its worth. Some of you may be old enough to remember the Peter, Paul, and Mary folk song, Puff the Magic Dragon. That was another name for the AC-47 Spooky gunship. My recollection of the original cost of a C-47 was around $270,000. Convert that up to about $2,011, that's over $1 million. But in 1965 prices, the first 20 of the AC-47D Spooky gunships were converted from their normal C-47 configuration to the gunship configuration for $4,288,975. At night, it could operate as well. It carried 56 hand-dropped flares.
Oh, there's a grenade launcher.
What?
The grenade launcher right over there.
The first night
This
mission
guy over
was
here.
flown on December 23rd, 1964.
Man down.
It was deemed a success. They were able to loiter over the battlefield for long periods of time. There we see the C-123 built Montero style coming over once again. A big airplane for its day with its 2,500 horsepower Pratt & Whitney engines. It had a maximum speed of almost 230 miles per hour. The
Dude
wingspan
was charging with his pitchfork and got cut
109
down.
feet 7 inches. Look at it carefully as it banks around from over our shoulders and to the left. 109 feet 7 inches is only 10 feet shy of the Wright brothers' first flight of 120 feet. Here comes the Spooky. The concept of the AC-47 with its miniguns became so successful that there was a development and use of the same concept in the Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft They called it the AC, or Attack Cargo 130 Spectre gunship, with bigger cannons on the side and laser designators to really hone in on the targets. It could concentrate massive amounts of firepower on those targets as it circled around. Here comes the provider.
Those ground attack planes.
Empty weight, 35,200 some pounds. Maximum weight, takeoff weight, I should say, over 40,000 pounds. The piston engines inboard. The jet engines midpoint, and extra fuel tanks on the outpoint. Guard also used the C-123, but it is amazing that it started life as a glider to a tactical transport. C-123s made 179 landings and 105 airdrops during the 78-day siege
China
of
Beach, one of the characters. The old TV show China Beach. I don't know if you ever watched that.
Tour of Duty.
By three
Tour of Duty?
manufacturers.
Yeah, Tour of Duty was really good.
Tour of Duty is American.
And during the Vietnam War, a pilot
It's better than
of the C-123 provider was awarded the Medal of Honor for landing at a Vietnam airstrip to rescue soldiers who were trapped under fire.
Yeah, I have all of it.
Oh, it goes
Even
a
though it
grenade.
was used throughout the 1960s during the Vietnam War, its first flight actually took place on September 1st of 1954.
These poor guys have no medics.
Oh, they already died.
Oh,
Over your shoulder, there's the CAC-47 Spooky gunship. And way out behind us, we've got the Able Dogs, the AD Sky Raiders. All right, ladies and gentlemen, cameras ready. You can see the Spooky gunship behind you. It's going to make a pass down the 500-foot show line. I'm going to shut the music down.
yeah, that'd
So
be
you can
nice.
get good pictures and good recordings of the Spooky as it comes past.
And stop talking too. That'd be good.
There was a lot of them based in the train. I saw those flight markers in 67.
One pass, and then we're going to bring the Sky Raiders in.
I'm looking forward to those Sky Raiders.
And there was Sky Raiders there too.
About 25 C-47s were converted to this attack standard. And the first one entered with the 4th Air Commando Squadron in late 1965. Ladies and gentlemen, the AC-47 Spooky gunship.
Might be why the Viet Cong has been so scarce.
The O2's cleared to land, but now listen to the sound of these 2,700 horsepower radial engines on the Douglas Sky Raiders.
Here they come. Hell yeah. That one looks like it's gonna hit him.
The Douglas Sky Raider began its life in 1943 in response to a Navy requirement
May 12,
for a single airplane to take the place of two others, to take the place of the dive bombing role and the torpedo bombing role of two different airplanes in the Navy inventory. Legendary designer Ed Heinemann designed the airplane. Rigid lines, not pretty, not fast, but incredibly rugged and versatile. The first two aircraft that came through, look carefully at them, have a nickname on the wide bodies. Side-by-side pilot co-pilot seating. Coming through next, a couple of single-seaters. The Douglas Sky Raider, formerly the AD. Oh, such a sound. Was an American single-seat attack aircraft that saw service between the late 1940s and the early 1980s. It had some incredible capabilities, one of which was to carry over 8,000 pounds of ordnance, which was greater than that of the bomb load of a World War II B-17 bomber like the Yankee Lady. The prototypes were ordered in
Shot some serious punishment.
The prototype made its first flight in March of 1945, and it was known as the AD-1 when it went into production. It had the Wright R3350 piston engine, the radial piston engine, giving it that 2,700 horsepower. Straight wings on this airplane gave it the ability to carry a large amount of ordnance, more than its own weight in weapons, over a considerable combat radius and loiter time for its size, comparable to much heavier subsonic or supersonic jets. It was optimized for the ground attack mission, was armored against ground fire in key locations. Unlike faster fighters, adapted to carry bombs such as the Vought Corsair or the North American P-51 Mustang, be retired by
Those
US
things were at this battle. It'd be a lot brighter and hotter down here right now.
Now this is a big airplane. It still had a maximum speed of about 325 miles per hour.
I don't even see any more VC on the field. Are they like way down there?
Wide assortment of bombs, rockets,
oh, okay.
mines, grenades, flares, and gun pods.
And this remark here should say we got our ass kicked. Danny was a little exuberant when we kicked ass. Yeah, well, we got our company lost 2 ships. The rest was fine.
These engines have 2 rows of 9 cylinders. Went through 7 versions. First the AD-1, the AD-2, the AD-3 with minor improvements. Then the AD-4 with a more powerful
classic
engine.
guerrilla warfare.
The AD-5 was significantly wider. Then there was a 3-seat version and a 4-seat version with electronic jamming equipment and personnel to operate it in the rear part of the cabin up there. Those are the wide bodies. They were flown by the United States Navy and Marine Corps, and it was not until 1964 that the United States Air Force began to use the airplane.
Seeing these guys run around like this, trigger any memories?
Yeah.
So the Navy had it first. There are so many different designations that are very, very confusing. But as the aircraft come by, I'm going to be quiet and let you get a chance to listen to the last 2 aircraft before the
Yeah, I
next
have
part
to.
of the
Well,
program.
I went in '91. I went to see this psychologist. I said,